The conscription. The massive crystalline mothership hung in Earth's orbit like a crystalline chandelier, its faceted surfaces refracting sunlight across the planet below. Commander Leora Rice stood at attention in the United Nations Security Council chamber, ignoring the sweat trickling down her back beneath her formal military uniform. As Earth's newly appointed representative to the Galactic Defense Force, the weight of humanity's future rested squarely on her shoulders. Commander Rice, the holographic projection of Grand Admiral Thrix, addressed her. The crystalline leader's translucent, crystalline features were unreadable to human eyes. Your species' petition to join the Alliance has been reluctantly approved. Leora maintained her composure despite the thinly veiled insult. First contact had occurred just 8 months earlier when the crystalline fleet appeared without warning. Their message had been simple: join the Galactic Alliance or face potential extinction from the Void Scourge, a mysterious expansionist force consuming star systems at the galaxy's edge. The Security Council and planetary governments thank you for your consideration, Grand Admiral, Leora replied diplomatically. Earth is eager to contribute to galactic security. A sound like tinkling glass, which Leora had learned was crystalline laughter, echoed through the chamber. Contribute. Commander, let's be clear about expectations. Your species has barely achieved rudimentary space travel. Your inclusion is a humanitarian gesture, not a strategic one. The Security Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Humanity's abrupt introduction to interstellar politics had been humbling, to say the least. The Defense Force transport arrives tomorrow, Thrix continued. You will select 100 humans for initial training. Choose carefully, Commander. The Void Scourge doesn't grant second chances. The hologram flickered out, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. UN Secretary General Okafor finally spoke. Commander Reyes, I hope you understand what's at stake. We need to make an impression. Leora nodded. I do, sir. And we will. 24 hours later, Leora stood in the shuttle bay of the GDF training vessel Stalwart Defender, watching as her carefully selected team of soldiers, scientists, engineers, and tacticians filed aboard. The ship itself was a marvel of engineering, a massive structure that seemed to shift and reconfigure itself as needed, constructed from materials unknown to human science. Welcome aboard, Commander Reyes. A tall insectoid being approached, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the bay lights. I am Combat Instructor Kizek of the Arthurian Hive. I've been assigned as your liaison. Thank you, Instructor, Leora replied, trying not to stare at the being's multiple compound eyes. My team is eager to begin. Eagerness without capability is merely wasted energy, Kizek clicked, mandibles twitching in what Leora interpreted as amusement. Follow me to your quarters. Training begins in 3 cycles. As they walked through corridors filled with diverse alien species, some gaseous, some crystalline, others vaguely humanoid, Leora noted the stares and whispers that followed her team. Humans were clearly a novelty, and not a particularly impressive one. Your species is unusually fragile, Kizek commented as they entered a large dormitory space. No exoskeleton, limited sensory capabilities, minimal natural defenses. It's remarkable you've survived this long. Leora bit back, a sharp retort. We compensate in other ways, Instructor. We shall see, Kizek replied skeptically. Rest while you can. The first week of training was brutal. Designed for dozens of different physiologies, the GDS regimen pushed human bodies to their absolute limits. Gravity fluctuations, atmospheric variations, and combat scenarios against species with natural advantages left Leora's team exhausted and demoralized. This is impossible, Dr. Elena Martinez, Earth's leading xenobiologist, groaned as she collapsed onto her bunk after a particularly grueling tactics session. The crystallines can process information through photosynthesis. The Arthurians have hive mind capabilities. The Vordax can literally see through solid objects. How are we supposed to compete with that? Leora watched as her team nursed injuries and bruised egos. We're not supposed to compete with their natural abilities. We need to leverage our own strengths. What strengths? Lieutenant Jackson scoffed, applying a medical patch to his arm where an Arthurian's training pincer had broken skin. They're stronger, faster, smarter. But they're predictable. Leora interrupted. I've been watching them. Each species excels in their evolutionary adaptations, but struggles to think beyond them. They rely on their natural advantages because they've never had to do otherwise. She stood up, addressing the entire team. Humanity's greatest asset has always been our adaptability. We don't have natural armor like the Arthurians or collective intelligence like the Crestolines. What we have is the ability to observe, learn, and innovate. Starting tomorrow, we stop trying to match them and start changing the game. The next morning, Leora approached Kazek before training began. Instructor, I request permission to modify our training approach. The Arthurian's antennae twitched with interest. Elaborate, Commander. Instead of having my team train individually against your standard scenarios, I propose integrated training. Let us work as cross-functional units that combine our different skills. Unorthodox, Kazek clicked, but permitted. Failure will be educational for your species to witness. What happened next surprised even Leora. When faced with a tactical simulation involving asteroid field navigation, the human team paired engineers with pilots to create improvised sensor arrays that compensated for their limited natural perception. In combat scenarios, they used coordinated tactics rather than individual prowess, creating synergies that confused their opponents. By the third week, other species had begun to take notice. The Vordax commander, a gaseous entity named Orlin, approached Leora after her team successfully completed an infiltration exercise in record time. Your approach is unconventional. Orlin's translated voice hissed through his atmospheric containment suit. Most species attempt to emulate the strengths of others. Yours seems content to acknowledge its limitations. Leora smiled. We've had plenty of practice being the underdogs, Commander Orlin. Humans have always had to adapt to survive. Interesting, Orlin replied, his gaseous form swirling thoughtfully inside his suit. Tomorrow's exercise will pair species together. I request humans on my team. Word spread quickly through the stalwart defender. Human adaptability became a sought-after asset in joint exercises. Their capacity to learn and integrate diverse tactics made them valuable bridges between physiologically incompatible species. What began as reluctant tolerance evolved into genuine curiosity. 2 months into training, the unexpected happened. During a routine neural interface session designed to familiarize species with GDF technology, the human participants demonstrated unprecedented integration speeds. The ship's Crestoline medical officer, Dr. Zirix, requested an immediate meeting with the command staff. These results are concerning, Zirix stated, displaying neural mapping data. Human brains form new neural pathways at rates exceeding all known Alliance species. Their neuroplasticity is off the charts. Grand Admiral Frix's hologram flickered with agitation. Explain the implications, Doctor. Simply put, humans learn and adapt faster than any species we've encountered. Their neural architecture allows them to integrate diverse concepts and create novel applications almost instantaneously. It's as if their entire evolutionary history has optimized them for rapid adaptation rather than specialized development. Kizik clicked thoughtfully. This explains their unexpected performance improvements. They're not just learning our techniques, they're evolving them. Leora stood silently, aware that this revelation would forever change humanity's standing in the Alliance. This bears monitoring, Frix decided finally. Continue training but implement neural development restrictions. We need to understand this capability before it advances further. Leora recognized the fear beneath the Admiral's words. For a species as ancient and evolved as the Crestolines, humanity's rapid adaptability represented something unpredictable and therefore threatening. 4 months into the training program, the stalwart defender received an emergency distress signal from an Alliance outpost near the Perseus Arm. A Void Scourge raiding party had breached Alliance space. All combat-ready personnel to battle stations. The announcement echoed through the ship. This is not a drill. Leora gathered her team, now numbering among the ship's most integrated units. This is what we've been training for. Remember your partnerships and trust your training. As they rushed to their assigned positions, Dr. Martinez fell into step beside her. You realize they still don't fully trust us. The neural restrictions have limited our access to the ship's primary defense systems. They don't need to trust us yet, Leora replied. They just need to see what we can do. The stalwart defender emerged from hyperspace to find the outpost under heavy attack. 3 Void Scourge vessels, organic-looking ships with twisted asymmetrical forms, were systematically destroying the station's defensive arrays. From the auxiliary tactical station, Leora and her team had a limited view of the battle. The Alliance forces responded with well-practiced maneuvers, but the Void Scourge ships moved with unsettling unpredictability, anticipating and countering standard tactics. They're adapting to our attack patterns, Kazakh announced over the tactical channel. Standard protocols are ineffective. Leora studied the battle data flowing across her screen. Permission to offer an alternative approach. After a moment's hesitation, Kazakh responded, Proceed. The Scourge vessels are anticipating our formations because they're mathematically optimal. We need to introduce controlled chaos. Leora quickly outlined a strategy combining Arthurian precision strikes with seemingly random human-designed flight patterns. Unorthodox, Kazakh clicked. But necessity breeds innovation. Implementing now. The effect was immediate. The Void Scourge vessels, unable to predict the new attack patterns, became vulnerable. One ship was quickly disabled, then another. The third attempted to retreat, but was caught in a crossfire of Alliance weapons. As the battle subsided, Leora's tactical station suddenly displayed full system access. Looking up, she saw Kazakh standing nearby, compound eyes fixed on her. Your restriction codes have been temporarily lifted, the Arthurian stated. The Grand Admiral wishes to speak with you. Thrix's hologram materialized before her, its crystalline features impossible to read. Commander Rise, your tactical suggestion was unexpected. Thank you, Admiral. Leora responded cautiously. Don't thank me yet, Commander. Your species' rapid advancement has not gone unnoticed. The Alliance Council is divided on whether humanity represents an asset or a potential threat. Leora straightened her shoulders. With respect, Admiral, we just proved our value in combat. Yes, you did. Thrix's form shimmered slightly. And that's precisely what concerns certain council members. In just 4 months, humans have integrated technologies and tactics that took other species years to master. Your neural adaptability exceeds all projections. We want to contribute, Admiral. That's all. For now, perhaps. Thrix's tone grew colder. But the Council has approved an expanded human presence in the Defense Force. 5,000 of your people will join training programs across Alliance space. Leora couldn't hide her surprise. That's generous. It's strategic, Commander. Keep your species close, as your Earth saying goes. The Admiral's hologram flickered. You've proven yourselves useful. The question remains whether you'll prove yourselves trustworthy. As the hologram disappeared, Leora felt a chill despite the victory. They had earned their place in the Alliance, but at what cost? The other species now viewed humans with a mixture of fascination and wariness, valuable assets but unpredictable ones. Kazakh approached, mandibles clicking softly. A curious development, Commander. In all my cycles of service, I've never seen a species advance so rapidly. Is that a compliment, Instructor? Leora asked. An observation, the Arthurian replied, and perhaps a warning. The Alliance maintains balance through predictability. Your species represents an unknown variable in a carefully calibrated equation. As Leora looked around at her team, now being congratulated by other species for their tactical innovation, she understood the delicate position humanity occupied. they had proven their worth, but in doing so, had changed the dynamics of the alliance itself. The real challenge was just beginning. The evolution. 6 months after the initial engagement with the Void Scourge Raiders, the Galactic Defense Force's Central Command Station Nexus Prime buzzed with unprecedented activity. Thousands of humans now served throughout the Alliance fleet, and their impact was impossible to ignore. Commander Leora Reyes stood before the massive tactical display in the station's war room, surrounded by representatives from 12 different species. The Scourge fleet movements suggest they're gathering for a major offensive, she explained, highlighting patterns in the display. Based on their resource acquisition patterns and previous tactical evolutions, we believe they're targeting the Cygnus shipyards. Grand Admiral Thrix's crystalline form shifted colors slightly, a sign of concern. The shipyards are our primary manufacturing hub. If they fall, our fleet replacement capacity drops by 60%. Conventional defensive positions would spread our forces too thin, added Kizek, now promoted to battle coordinator after the success of the joint human-Arthran tactics. Leora nodded, which is why we're proposing something unconventional. She gestured, and the tactical display transformed to show a complex, asymmetrical defense strategy. We call it adaptive swarming. The Alliance commanders studied the proposal with a mixture of interest and skepticism. The strategy incorporated elements from multiple species combat doctrines, Arthran precision, Vordax spatial awareness, crystalline coordination networks, all unified through a human-designed adaptive response system. This approach lacks the mathematical certainty of established doctrines, objected Fleet Commander Zix, a Medusan whose tentacled head pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. It introduces too many variables. Variables are precisely what the Void Scourge struggles to counter, Leora countered. Their strength lies in predicting and countering standard responses. Our advantage is unpredictability. Admiral Thrix's crystalline structure refracted light in complex patterns as he considered the proposal. This strategy was developed by the Human-led Joint Tactics Division. Yes, Admiral. A collaborative effort between 17 species, synthesizing approaches that were previously considered incompatible. What Leora didn't mention was the controversy surrounding the division's formation. After the initial success of human adaptability in combat, Alliance leadership had created specialized joint tactics teams with humans as integration specialists. The results had been revolutionary and deeply concerning to traditionalists within the Alliance hierarchy. Very well, Thrix decided finally. Implement your strategy, Commander. But be aware that the Council will be monitoring the outcome closely. As the meeting dispersed, Orlin, the Vordax commander who had first requested human teammates during training, drifted alongside Leora. His gaseous form swirled faster than usual within his containment suit, a sign of agitation. The Admiral didn't mention the Council's latest directive, he hissed quietly. They've implemented new restrictions on human advancement within the Defense Force. Leora kept her expression neutral as they entered a secure corridor. What kind of restrictions? Caps on command positions, limitations on technology access, required supervisors for research initiatives. Orlin's form condensed slightly, the Vordax equivalent of a concerned frown. They fear your species' rapid integration rate. They fear what they don't understand, Leora corrected. Humans aren't a threat to the Alliance. Perhaps not intentionally. Orlin paused as they reached the transit hub. But your species has accomplished in months what took others centuries. You've rewritten tactical doctrines, reconfigured technologies, created cross-species integration protocols. Some council members believe humans may unbalance the Alliance power structure. Leora considered this as they boarded the transport to the command sector. She couldn't entirely blame the council for their caution. In just 6 months, humans had risen from novelties to essential components of the Defense Force. Their neural adaptability allowed them to serve as bridges between incompatible species and technologies, creating unprecedented synergies. The Void Scourge doesn't care about alliance politics, she said finally. If we're going to survive, we need every advantage, including human adaptability. Orland's gaseous form rippled in what Leora had learned was agreement. Many of us share that view, Commander. Not all species fear change. 2 days later, the Defense Force received confirmation of their intelligence. A massive Void Scourge fleet had entered Alliance space, headed directly for the Cygnus shipyards, the largest invasion force ever recorded. Nexus Prime transformed into the nerve center of the Alliance's defense. Ships from all member species converged on the Cygnus system, implementing the new adaptive swarming strategy. At the heart of the operation was the recently commissioned Human Integration Center, a specialized command node where human coordinators facilitated communication and tactical adaptation between species. Leora stood at the center's main interface, neural connectors linking her directly to both the Alliance fleet network and the specialized human coordination team. Through the interface, she could sense the positions and status of hundreds of ships, each represented as a glowing point in her consciousness. Scourge fleet approaching detection perimeter, announced Elena Martinez, now serving as neural coordination specialist. Composition matches intelligence estimates, approximately 300 vessels of varying configurations. Admiral Thrix's voice came through the command channel. All fleet elements in position. Human Integration Center, confirm tactical readiness. Leora opened her eyes, the neural landscape still visible as an overlay on physical reality. Integration Center confirms readiness. Admiral, adaptive protocols active and responsive. Commence operation, Thrix ordered. Through her neural connection, Leora felt the Alliance fleet come alive. Hundreds of vessels from dozens of species, each with unique capabilities and limitations, now functioning as a unified organism. The human coordinators served as synapses, transmitting adaptations and tactical shifts faster than conventional command structures could manage. The Void Scourge fleet emerged from hyperspace like a writhing mass of organic machinery. Their ships, if they could be called ships, resembled massive predatory creatures, with irregular, asymmetrical forms that defied conventional engineering. They moved with disturbing coordination, immediately adapting to the Alliance's defensive positioning. "They're already countering our initial formation," reported Keswick from the Arthurian command node. As expected, Leora responded, implementing adaptation sequence alpha. Through the neural interface, she directed a subtle shift in the Alliance formation. Not a retreat, but a reconfiguration. Ships regrouped in seemingly random patterns that nonetheless maintained strategic coverage. The human coordinators transmitted tactical adjustments to each species based on their unique capabilities. The Scourge fleet hesitated, their usual predictive algorithms failing to identify a recognizable pattern. When they finally advanced, they encountered not a fixed defense, but a constantly evolving one. Arthurian precision strikes harried their flanks, while Vordak spatial manipulators disrupted their formations. Crystalline vessels formed temporary defense networks that reconfigured as needed. For 3 hours, the battle raged across the Cygnus system. The Void Scourge adapted repeatedly, but each time they established a counter-strategy. The Alliance forces shifted again, guided by the human-led Integration Center. It wasn't a perfect system. Alliance ships were lost, and certain Scourge adaptations proved particularly effective. But the overall strategic flexibility prevented any decisive Scourge advantage. They're concentrating forces for a push toward the central shipyards, Leora noted, sensing the shift through the neural interface, implementing contingency theta. The response was immediate and devastating. As the Scourge fleet converged, Alliance ships that had appeared scattered suddenly executed a precisely coordinated maneuver, enveloping the concentrated Scourge forces in a 3-dimensional crossfire. It was a trap designed to exploit the Scourge's own adaptive tendencies. By the Eternal Crystal, Admiral Thrix's voice held rare emotion. It's working. The Void Scourge fleet, for the first time in recorded Alliance history, began to retreat in disarray. Their usual coordinated withdrawal was replaced by chaotic flight as their command structure struggled to process the unpredictable Alliance tactics. Pursue and neutralize primary vessels. Frick's ordered. Don't let them regroup. The next hour saw the systematic dismantling of the Scourge fleet. Without their usual adaptive advantage, the invaders found themselves outmatched by the combined might of the Alliance. By the time the last Scourge ship flowed into hyperspace, over 70% of their fleet had been destroyed or captured. In the aftermath, Nexus Prime's main assembly hall was filled to capacity with representatives from every Alliance species. The victory celebration marked the most significant triumph against the Void Scourge in generations. At the center of the gathering stood the human team, now regarded with a complex mixture of admiration, gratitude, and wariness. Admiral Thrix addressed the assembly, his crystalline form gleaming under the ceremonial lights. Today marks a turning point in our conflict with the Void Scourge. For generations, we have fought defensively, reacting to their incursions. Today, we demonstrated that adaptation can be our strength as well. The Admiral's gaze fixed on Lyora and her team. The Human Integration Center provided the strategic flexibility that made this victory possible. Their unique neural architecture and adaptive capabilities have proven invaluable to the Alliance. Murmurs spread through the assembly, not all of them positive. Lyora could sense the undercurrent of concern beneath the celebration. Humanity had proven itself essential far more quickly than anyone had anticipated. After the ceremony, Lyora found herself approached by Counselor Vex, one of the eldest Crystallines, and a senior member of the Alliance Council. His ancient crystalline form had developed so many facets that it was difficult to look at him directly. "Walk with me, Commander Reyes," he invited, leading her to a quiet observation deck overlooking the shipyards. "A remarkable achievement today." "Thank you, Counselor. It was a collaborative effort." "Indeed." Vex's voice resonated like wind through crystal, yet I find myself troubled by certain implications. In just 6 months, your species has fundamentally altered our military doctrine, command structures, and even our approach to technology integration. Lyora chose her next words carefully. "Adaptation is our strength, Counselor. We simply applied it to benefit the Alliance." "And we are grateful," Vex assured her, his tone warming slightly. "But you must understand our perspective. The Alliance has maintained balance between its member species for millennia. Each brings unique strengths, but also natural limitations that prevent any single species from dominating. Humans have plenty of limitations," Lyora pointed out. "We lack natural defenses, specialized sensory capabilities." "But you adapt," Vex interrupted, "more rapidly than any species we've encountered. You learn our technologies, incorporate our strategies, integrate our diverse physiological advantages into unified systems. Your neural plasticity allows you to bridge gaps that have existed between species for eons." He turned to face her directly, his crystalline structure glittering. "The Council is divided, Commander. Some see humans as the salvation of the Alliance. Others fear you may render traditional power structures obsolete." Lyora gazed out at the vast shipyards, where vessels from dozens of worlds floated in synchronized patterns. "What we did today saved those shipyards and potentially the Alliance itself. Doesn't that count for something?" "It counts for everything," Vex acknowledged, "which is why the Council has made a decision that may surprise you." He extended a crystalline appendage, offering her a small device that projected a holographic insignia, the mark of the newly created Joint Species Command. "The Council has authorized the formation of a new division within the Defense Force," Vex explained, "one specifically designed to maximize cross-species integration and tactical adaptation. They want you to lead it." Lyora stared at the insignia, understanding the magnitude of this development. "This is unexpected." "It was not a unanimous decision," Vex admitted, "but today's victory convinced even the most traditional Council members that we must evolve to survive. Your species' gift for adaptation may be precisely what the Alliance needs in this conflict." As Lyora accepted the device, she felt the weight of responsibility it represented. Humanity had gone from reluctant newcomers to essential allies in less than a year. Their adaptive capabilities had forever changed the dynamics of the Galactic Alliance. There will be resistance, Vex warned. Change is difficult for long-lived species who measure stability in millennia rather than decades. Not everyone will welcome humans' rapid advancement within our ranks. We're not looking to dominate, Counselor. We just want to contribute. Perhaps. Vex's tone suggested polite skepticism. But contribution requires no special effort from your species. Adaptation is as natural to you as crystalline growth is to mine. The question that troubles many council members is, where does human adaptation ultimately lead? What will the Alliance become with humans fully integrated into its systems? It was a question Leora couldn't answer with certainty. Humanity's history was filled with examples of both remarkable cooperation and devastating conflict. Their adaptability had led to unprecedented technological advancement, but also environmental destruction. Their capacity for empathy enabled deep cross-cultural understanding, but also tribal loyalties. I don't know what the future holds, she admitted. But I do know that humans are stronger when we work together, with each other and with other species. The Integration Center proved that combined strengths can overcome even the most adaptive enemy. Vex's crystalline structure refracted light in complex patterns, a sign of deep thought among his kind. Then perhaps that is reason enough to proceed. The Alliance has survived this long by recognizing valuable allies when they appear. 2 weeks later, the newly commissioned Alliance vessel Convergence departed Nexus Prime on its maiden voyage. Unlike traditional Alliance ships designed for specific species, the Convergence featured adaptive environments and integrated command systems that accommodated multiple physiologies simultaneously. At its heart was an expanded human integration center, where neural coordinators facilitated unprecedented cooperation between diverse species. On the bridge, Commander, now Captain, Leora Rise surveyed her mixed-species crew with pride. Arthurans operated tactical systems alongside Vordak's spatial analysts. Crystalline communication specialists interfaced with Medusan sensor operators. And throughout the ship, human integration officers served as living bridges between incompatible technologies and physiologies. Course plotted for the Perseus Arm border regions, reported Navigator Chen. All systems integrated and functioning at optimal capacity. Excellent, Leora acknowledged. This is just the beginning. The Void Scourge has never encountered anything like us, a truly united Alliance force. As the Convergence accelerated into hyperspace, Leora reflected on how far humanity had come in such a short time. They had entered the galactic community as untested newcomers, valuable only for their strategic location. Now they stood as essential components of the Alliance's future, not for their natural abilities, but for their limitless capacity to adapt and evolve. The Alliance had trained humans in their ways, integrating them into their ancient hierarchies and battles. What they hadn't expected was how thoroughly humans would transform those systems in return, creating something entirely new in the process. For better or worse, the galaxy would never be the same again.